in an ideal world, should playoff games be played on campuses or at bowl game sites? Well, the answer here, Nathan, is clear. And we're not going to live in a realistic world. Just you and I, just us listeners and me sitting here behind this microphone. Let's go down the more idealistic road for a second. Don't let anyone tell you what is and isn't possible. Because all Nathan said is, should they be played on campus versus a bowl site? Well, yes, clearly. Even me, even the guy who doesn't want to expand the playoff that we do have, I'd love for those semifinal games to be on campus sites. That would be phenomenal. Now, the pushback here, even though I told you not to acknowledge it, we know what the pushback is. The pushback is, well, you certainly can't have the playoff infrastructure if you don't have the bowls signing off on it. And that's true. Yes, I know it's not as easy as someone magically snapping their fingers and all of a sudden Georgia is playing a semifinal game in Athens instead of Arlington, Texas. But again, we're going to live in an idealistic situation for just a second. Where would we like to see it? We would like to see it in home campus environments. And you know who else would? Both crowds. You know what, we were just talking for a second ago, if you're listening to the full podcast, we were just talking a second ago about how there's three crowds really in college football playoff talk. There is the pro-expansion crowd, there's the anti-expansion crowd, and there's the third bureaucratic crowd over here who just pretends like they have the best interest of the sport in mind, but they're really serving some other interest. The first two crowds, whether you're pro-playoff expansion or anti-playoff expansion, all of us, virtually all of us agree that we would love to see the playoff games we do have on an on-campus setting. Take the national title game to the NFL venue if you need to, but an on-campus setting is a perfect, just a serene environment for a college football playoff semifinal game. That third crowd over there gives their hand away again when they push back on this. And they push back and they say, no, we need to have it at the bowl venue. We need to have it in Glendale, or we need to have it in Arlington, or we need to have it in Miami, or we need to have it in Indianapolis. And the reason is because, and then you just lean in, because you wait, are they really going to say it? Are they really about to tell us it's what's best for college football? And sure enough, they do. They tell you, hey, look, I know you're from Clemson, South Carolina, and your opponent is from Eugene, Oregon, but it's best for the sport if you guys are meeting in New Orleans, Louisiana in a semifinal game on New Year's Eve. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's best for New Orleans. I love New Orleans. New Orleans, to me, it's my favorite host city. Even above some of the outdoor places out west, it's my favorite host city for the college football national championship. So I'm certainly not knocking New Orleans. And I love the title game being in New Orleans. It is not in the best interest of college football to have semifinal games or playoff games at those bowl venues. It's not. Whether that's the way it has to be set up for business purposes or not, it's not. So since I told you we're living in an idealistic world for just a second, I was thinking about this. Now this is pure daydream land that we're about to go in. But you've probably played this game before. You've probably asked yourself, if I were a billionaire, what would I do with all that money? I've been watching the news lately, and some of these Russian billionaires are having to move their yachts around and their planes around so that they don't get seized by the federal government. And I shed many tears for those Russian oligarchs. But I was thinking to myself, I'm not Russian, but maybe I'll be a billionaire one day. What would I do with that money? I'd probably buy 2 or 3 new packs of white and blue t-shirts. Some of you have been asking, by the way, why the blue t-shirt when we're doing the extra pod? Well, it's just that. I've got a different t-shirt for different formats. White indicates, kind of like Tiger Woods, white indicates Late Kick Live, blue indicates Late Kick Extra. Anyway, I'd probably buy some new t-shirts, and then however much money was left over out of the billions of dollars after I bought new t-shirts, what I would want to do with that money is I would want to go to all the playoff committee, I would want to go to the bowl cities, and I would want to say, how much is it going to take? I want to be an angel investor in college football. I want to save the sport. I want to put on a cape, and it's got a CFB on the cape, and I want to swoop in, and I want to save the sport. My people need me. And really what they need is home playoff games. So how do we make it happen? Because right now you're telling me, nope, you cannot have home playoff games. There's too much financial interest in going to these neutral site games. Well, guess what? Your boy's a billionaire now. So I have a check, and I'm ready to write big numbers on these checks for each of you. How much does your city need to give away this bowl game? How much revenue is it really going to bring in? And then I'm going to call up some other billionaire buddies of mine in case I don't have enough money for all this. And I'm just going to use my hundreds of millions of dollars to buy out these games from these neutral site venues, and I'm going to then grant, whether it be Chapel Hill or Tuscaloosa or Austin or Los Angeles, wherever the playoff game should be, I'm going to put the games on those campuses. A lot of you daydream about all sorts of things. That is what I daydream about. I had a night dream the other day that Colin got me put in prison, which I will not share publicly, but I've already expressed the sentiment to him privately that I didn't appreciate it. But as far as daydreaming goes, all I ever think about is, if I'm ever a billionaire, what can I use that money for? And it always has something to do with either charity or college football. And to me, those are one and the same.